As promised, here are my updates for the Sephora VIP Rouge haul video, but I'm going to do it try-on style, that way you can see it all in action. Now, I didn't actually have like a traditional primer, so I'm just going to be spraying on my trusty Smashbox primer water, which is almost done. This is from Mercier. It's the Tinted Moisturizer Illuminating Broad Spectrum SPF 20 Sunscreen. This is the way that I've been applying it. Just kind of spreading it out onto my skin and using this in a sense like it's a primer. And I have been loving the way it pairs with the ColourPop foundation stick. It has made the formula very well dewy, and I think that this is just going to be that overall dew look that I'm going to enjoy. Foundation I'm going to use is the Bobbi Brown foundation stick. This is because I am going to a trade show tomorrow, and usually when I go to shows I always tend to use some form of a Bobbi Brown foundation. That is it for foundation. I'm still going to leave my stick out because I'm pairing it with something else that I'm going to show you next. There's a specific reason why I picked this concealer. This is from Becca Ultimate Coverage Longwear Concealer. I think of Becca as just that radiant, that skin-like company, and that whatever I put on, I'm going to look just dewy and fresh and alive. That's just what I think of when I think of Becca. So I saw this in Sephora, and I believe it was in my loves list for August. It had to be, because this is actually the only reason why I saw this. I'm just going to add just a tiny bit here on the side and start blending this out. This is in the shade Cedar. I tried, I believe, nutmeg and cinnamon. And nutmeg, I want to say nutmeg was too dark, if I'm trying to think from memory. Cinnamon, just like how it says, cinnamon had too much red in it. On the other side of the wand, there is enough here to spot conceal, which is how I've been doing it. But the way that I do it is I'll take my stick and then I'll put this on first. So just wherever I might need it. And I'm talking, you only need a dab, because this concealer is so concentrated. I just went like that with my brush. And then with the help of the foundation, which also kind of just shears out the texture of this concealer, I will start to spot conceal it like this, and this concealer will start to cover. I managed to make a texture where I'd be like, I don't want to deal with this texture. But when I start to smooth it out, then I see the magic of it. It really does start to cover. So I'm just going to do this side real quick. I'm going to quickly set underneath my eyes using my Bobbi Brown pressed powder. This is what I tend to use, again, for trade shows, that type of powder. And then I'm going to contour with Fenty's Espresso stick, because I just don't want to have to worry about setting everything. That's just me. So I'm just going to quickly speed through that so you don't have to see that, and then we'll move on to the next product. Next comes the Mercier Translucent Loose Powder, but it's in the Glow version. And this is the color Translucent Medium Deep. For demo purposes, I'm going to use the Mercier Glow brush to show you how the glow powder is like supposed to be worn, or how it's marketed. Now, you don't have to use the brush. It's just, obviously there for you. But I just want to show you, in case you're interested, how to do that. Now, what I do is I start pressing and kind of just tapping off some of the brush, the powder. Just depends on how much you want on your brush. Now, I take quite a bit off, even though I'm like kind of just going like this, taking some of the powder, getting it off, but I really go strong in really getting it off. Now I do have a microfiber cloth right here. Sometimes I'll sweep it off a little bit like that too. It just depends, because with this size of the brush, there is a curved end of this brush that will go down, and then they have this short piece right here and then the longer higher piece. So a way that you can do it is, it just depends. Let's say you want a lot more of a concentrated of a highlighter effect right there. Use the long portion of it because it's not as dense as the shorter piece. So you can just go up like that. Well, I'm just going to start sweeping it. So take it and I'm just going to push it up like that. So I just want you to see, if you can even tell in the camera, just the overall glow that you get. Now that's just without blending it out. So I mean, you can do it like that if you'd like. Let's say you just want a nice bronzed, subtle type of a highlighted effect, like a subtle highlighter. You don't want anything that's like bam onto your cheekbones, because this powder, I feel it's glowy enough where you can use it as a highlighter, especially if you wet the brush. You can get out a lot more of that bronzed appearance. This brush feels very soft, very smooth. Like, it's synthetic hairs, I know that, but it's so incredibly soft. That was something like the first thing I noticed. It's just like a baby's butt, extremely soft. So that's it. So you can use it to set, of course, your foundation, set underneath your eyes. Again, you can use it as a subtle highlighter, depending on how much of a glow you want, but just very simple and very easy. Eyeshadow time. So I'm going to be using the Fenty Beauty by Rihanna on camera, and I'm just going to do the same color like series thing that I did the other day, but I have to do something different. Reason being is I have their Pro Filter Amplifying Eye Primer. I need to try this primer on one eye, and then I need to use the other eye my regular primer that I already tend to use often. I need to see this for myself. Urban Decay is on the right eye. Let me put this on the right side so that I remember. The other time I used it, I set the Fenty eye primer, and I was looking in the magnifying mirror and I was like, okay, something is wrong. I mean, I corrected it, but something is wrong. So I just want to see, is it because I set the Fenty primer? I mean, I have oily eyelids, so I'm sure the oil is just breaking through. I just need to see for myself, so bear with me. We are going to experiment together. Okay, I'm taking the Fenty primer now and stick it on my left eye. I don't know why I feel like I'm rushing. Probably because the camera's on, like I'm on timer here. And then I'm just going to blend that out. My Real Techniques big old brush, I first dipped into Come and Get It. I don't like the way that is spelled. Okay, Rihanna. And this goes all over my lid. My brush is it's dragging a little bit. It's like the primer, like those little fingers going like little suction cups. I don't know how to describe it, but that's what it feels like. I'm going to go into Spice Trip with Morphe's M504 brush. And I'm just going to, I guess, start with Fenty's side first. Really? Oh, I have to change the battery. Oh, goodness. Hold, please. I'm going to go into Saffron with a Smith 23T brush. I think it was Saffron I did next. Tell you, sometimes if I don't write this down. This is the Fenty side. If you have your palette out and you're following me along, let me know in the comments. Fenty's primer really does kind of just pump up these shades. I'm going into the purple shade, Fez Up, and I'm actually going to use their brush. So this is the blending brush, the 210. And we'll kind of looking at it to see if it's mimicking a little bit of the MAC 217. Just the top of the brush, I would say, is mimicking the 217. And then I'm going to focus that first. I think that's what I did first. I focused it on the outer edge here, kind of making a little bit more of a blended V. Now I'm going to move on to the blues, and this is exactly what I did in the last video, so I'm going to do it again. I use my fingers to blend and buff them out because I will do that. So I'm taking the shade Socket to Me, I think that's what it's called, and I think it was this finger that I use. So I just got some blue right there. Ooh, that looks so flipping pretty. Look at that. And I'm focusing it right here. So what I did was just press and pat it on and then start blending it upwards a bit and dragging it over. Now, you can use a brush if you like, but I just was using my fingers. I wanted to feel the powders and become one with them. Am I being too dramatic? Then what I do is I'll take my pinky and I brush it down into my lower lash line. That is a pretty gold. Now for on top of this blue, I used just a little bit of coconut from ColourPop. Oh, coconut, I swear, this color jack. And just tap that right over that blue. I'm going to have to come back though on another day because the sun has set so much the light is going to change considerably. So the next couple of clips you'll see, I will have probably a neutral eye. That'll be the next eye look I'll create. It's a new day, new look, new sunlight. Last two items to test out. So first is going to be the Sephora collection brush tip lash adhesive. Now this is supposed to be a clear lash glue, so it's going to come out looking white at first, and it has of course a brush tip. I'm going to brush it onto my Ardell 102 lashes. These are kind of also my testing lashes when it comes to lash glue because the band is so thin it gets really close to my lash line, and I can tell if I'm going to have any type of irritation, how the glue is really going to stick and dry when I use these lashes. I'm actually trying to put it on my skin first to see is it sticking to my skin, and it wasn't sticking to my skin. Some of my glue will, like pry to my skin. And that's kind of an indication also of how strong it is. While the glue is drying a bit, I'm going to show you the three swatches here. So these are the lipsticks. So I have the red, I have the hot pink, and then the, this one in the tube looks like a red as well, but like a warm red. And then when I put it on, it actually turns more of like a coral warm red on me. This color is going on exactly the same as the other two colors have gone. So that's showing me that the formula, everything is kind of much the same for all three shades. Quick recap, my final thoughts. Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer, yes. Illuminating. Of course, I would pick Illuminating because I want that glow. But I think there's one that doesn't have the glow and all that involved. So if you're more, you lean more towards that, then lean more towards that, especially if oily skin. Dry skin, normal skin like mine, normal to dry, I think you might enjoy it. And they do have additional shades, so pick the one that would best suit your skin tone. Becca Longwear Ultimate Coverage Concealer. This is something where it's this texture that I have to get used to. And reason being is because I don't like a dry matte version. I want something a little bit more dewier. However, once this is blended out, it's skin. The fact that there's enough pigment in this to actually cover imperfections and still look like skin, that is a big selling point to me. So I'm very happy I have this, and this is the perfect shade for me. Next is the Laura Mercier Glow Powder. I wish that the actual, they would do something with the packaging to make it like different as they're bringing out all these colors, because there's translucent and here's all the different colors. There's also medium, deep, and then, oh, here's a glow one, but it looks exactly the same. So I would just like something a little bit different just to distinguish between the two. That's just being picky on my aspect. If you're already a fan of the powder, to introduce one that is a glow powder, I think is brilliant, because I mean, I was like, what? Glow radiance in the same type of a formula as the original loose powder. I'm here for that as well. If I can put this under my eyes and I can put it all over my face, because I use it that way, I know a lot of people do too, that I should be able to do that with this, but it just offers a little bit of luminosity. The fact is, the luminosity that comes from this is, I think, a lot stronger than it probably should be. Now, that's going to be other people's preferences. That's my preference. When I can get really close in the mirror and I can see that I am bronzed underneath my eyes, see, I'm not going to use this underneath my eyes for that purpose. I'm going to use it more as all over my face. I look at this more as almost like a loose highlighter for my cheeks. So that's not what it's marketed for, but that's kind of how it's appearing. The Fenty Beauty limited edition set. If you want to try a lot of the pieces, that's the set, the online only kit that I recommend you get. I'm kind of holding the brushes like they're chopsticks here. The brushes pleasantly surprised me. They deposit the color and they blend. They blend the shadow and they blend other shadows as well, how I've been using it. I do like the shape. They fit well with my eyes, my hooded eyes, and I like them. I am cleaning my brushes today, so I don't see why the color won't come out. I have spot concealed them with the Cinema Secrets, and the color just came right out. Now, this is the brush that I'm getting a lot more use out of, and actually now that I look at it, I see it as a good nose contour brush too. See, double duty. This is the 200, so the eyeshadow one. This has been so good at not only, well, you can place it like the color on your lid, but what has worked so good is to actually take, especially dark colors, and to go right into any type of groove, any type of hood groove, whatever you want to call it, any type of detail work. That's the word I'm looking for. Any type of detail work. But then also, depending on how you kind of blend, how I've been moving it up, it will get up and start to blend out lines. It's a really nice brush. I like this brush, so I'm seeing it for multiple use. Also for the lower lash line, this has been a dream. Boom, boom, boom. You can put multiple colors on and it's blending out the colors. So this one is the one, this is the one that I would be like, okay, I'm gonna go, I would want multiple ones. This one I'm fine with just having one. This one I would take a couple, so I do like the brushes. This eye primer pleasantly surprised me. Now it says that it has a pink tint to it. I didn't see any pink tint on my skin tone. I mean, the color of the color of it on my lids looked pink, but when I brush it out with my brush, you know, over my lid, it disappears. Now that I feel I know how to work with it, this primer is what I'm like picking up now, and I'm like, where are you? Where are you? I have to let it dry. If I don't let it dry and I start to go in kind of quick or immediately, I'll start to feel that brush start to get like stuck on my lid. So I let it dry. But other than that, the way that it has increased the shadow intensity, I like that, not only with the Fenty, but with other eyeshadow palettes, anything else as well. So it works fine with that. And the last item from the kit is, of course, the Moroccan palette. I love the packaging. I'm not so much of a packaging person, meaning I don't buy stuff based on the packaging. I'm very simple in that regards, because most of my stuff, it's always flat. I don't care. I look more at the product itself. That way I don't care about, that's why I don't care about mirrors and stuff like that. I would like it if the palette had the names printed inside of it instead of having it on the back. But other than the fact is, really, that's only like, you know, for tutorials and things. But otherwise, that's something I would like. The layout of the palette doesn't bother me. I don't care. I know it's not like a traditional. None of that really bothers me. I feel that the star of this palette is the shimmers. I mean, those shimmers go on so smooth and they feel like cream. I was feeling them on my my tips here. They feel very creamy. I like that. And it goes on good. It goes good with glitter glue. Like I put glitter glue on here. And even without the glue in the drop-in clips, it wasn't transferring, so I like that. The mattes in here are fine too. They're good, and the fact is that there's color to it and that they blend fine. But what really got me like, whoa, is the shimmers, especially this color right here. I mean, that tear duct, it is so shiny. It looks like an ornament, a Christmas ornament. The only thing I don't like, so I do have a con with this, is the fact is I wanted to do a bronze, like a brown eye today. Like I said that, the next day I'm going to do a bronze eye. Now I must have thought in my mind that there was a darker brown in here. I don't know why I thought that, but I did. So when I opened it up to do it, I'm thinking, oh, the color is not in there that I need. So what was already here is, this is kind of like a lot of my dip palette here, the Violet Voss Lauralee palette. I don't know about you, but I still use this one to death. I mean, it doesn't look like I do, but I do. I used for today, I used Fried, and then I used this one, Bubs, and Whiskers. I used those because at least I thought for sure, I thought this color or this color was in there. Again, I don't know why. That's what helped me decide, okay, it's $59. Let's say I was only going to get the palette. Is that enough for me? Like, is that enough for me to do everything I need to do from this one palette? And it's not. Now, I am someone that likes to dip into multiple palettes. However, I'm thinking about that in my mind is, if I only had this one and I'm only going to use this one, does it have what I need to do that look? And it just so happened I didn't want to use the reds and the pinks in here to help deepen it up. I could have done that, but I don't want to only be subjected to that, because if I want to deepen it up, I got to use those colors. So I wanted some deeper browns in there, and it's not in there. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of as you, as a viewer, the consumer, if this is what you're going to pick up, and you're going to have to think, okay, if you like dramatic eye looks, like I want it to be a little bit more dramatic. If you let's say you only do dramatic eye looks, you're not going to get a lot of depth, a lot of deepness from this palette. Whether that's its intention, I don't know, because I mean, I don't remember from summer what the whole marketing aspect was for this palette, but that's what it is. If you want more of a simpler look, so you don't want it to go as deep and rich, then you have that with this palette, because it goes down to a level of color where it can be fine like that. Plus the shadows blend fine and easy. So I think the everyday consumer can work with this palette. So that's it. There's warm, there's cool tones in here, the jewel tone colors, the pops of blue, you know, I like that. Of course, I'm going to continue to use it. I just know in my mind that I'm going to need to make sure I have something else around to dip into if I want to make some dramatic looks, which is what tends to happen. Sometimes I need to dip into a million things. But it won't be the palette that like I'm going to take to go travel with, unless I plan on taking something else with me to deepen it up. Now the lash glue is lash glue. But for this is actually an easy lash glue to use. Easy brush tip. Not a lot comes out where it's like too goopy, so that's a good thing, especially for beginners. The fact that it dries completely clear, no globs, no nothing, I do like that. I'm looking in the mirror to see, do I see anything poking up, and I don't. So I think it's going to have some good hold. I think what it was, $6, $7, and then with my 20%, so good price. I mean, it was referred from a Sephora employee. And then last are the Pat lipsticks, and I'm pleasantly surprised. So here's something finally from Pat's line that, you know, I actually like. I'm just glad they're little lipsticks for me to continue to use instead of something full. For some reason I thought I had it on my teeth, but no, I like it. I think that the formula is nice. It's not tugging or pulling, it's not too dry. I keep hearing a lot of people like her glosses. So I'm gonna look at the glosses. I'm just gonna try it out and see how I like it. I don't think I'll probably buy it. I don't know. I'm gonna try it out in the store and we'll see. That's about it. I hope this try on of my Sephora VIB makeup item haul was helpful for you. And let me know if you have any questions, anything additional you'd like to discuss or I might have left out. Please leave them down as comments and I will get back to you. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. As always, I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day or evening. And as always, I'm going to see you in the next video. Bye everyone.